Hello, welcome to a new school year. I am Dr. Marilyn Terranova, Superintendent of the Eastchester Schools. You are watching the first edition of Upfront with Dr. Terranova for the 2011-2012 school year. As you are likely aware, the Eastchester Board of Education has decided to present a bond referendum for a public vote on October 12th of this school year. The board has proposed adding classrooms to the middle school in order to alleviate some of the space issues that have a negative impact on our academic programs and opportunities for all of our students. Today, I am here with middle school principal Dr. Walter Moran and high school principal Dr. Jeffrey Capuano. We've been talking for several years about our increasing enrollment and the fact that our schools are over capacity, meaning that our schools are too small for our current and future student population. We are educating students in spaces that do not meet guidelines set forth by our state education department. Thank you, Dr. Moran and Dr. Capuano, for joining us today.
You're welcome.
No problem.
And welcome to the new school year.
Thank you.
Dr. Moran, let's begin with you. What does it mean on a practical level, day to day, when we say the school is overcrowded?
A person visiting our school would find that the movement of students in the halls before and after school, as well as between the 9 periods of the day, creates a notable and a visible high volume of traffic. They would see that the flow of student movement between the middle school wing and the shared wing of the high school creates congestion in the main corridor of the building and on the stairwells. And for some students, getting to their lockers alone can be a challenge. We know that our cafeteria cannot hold any one grade level in our middle school, and presently we have students eating lunch for 20 minutes and having a recess period of 20 minutes. Our architect has told us that the capacity of the middle school is 533 students. Our enrollment exceeds that capacity by 181 students, or 34% of our building capacity.
So those are really excellent points. Let's turn to Dr. Capuano. You know, Dr. Capuano, we're often asked why there's a space crunch now. A number of years ago, our schools had similar enrollments. In fact, back in the 70s when I was in high school, we actually had so many more students in school than we do now. What can you tell us about that difference between then in the 70s when I was in school and now when your children are in school?
It's amazing to talk about because so many parents remember and recall their experience in high school and try to make a comparison to today. There are a couple key benchmark dates that you'd need to know. Before 1985, students only had to have 16 credits. That's basically 16 year-long courses in high school to get a diploma. That's 4 classes a year. From 1985 to 2001, the number of credits jumped to 18 and a half, so that added 2.5 more credits for the students. That's probably the position that most of our parents were in. From 2002 to present, the number of credit requirements jumped to 22 credits. If you do the math, that actually, in order to meet that requirement, it actually required 18 classrooms for our students to achieve that. Now the Department of Education is talking about adding another year of math and another year of science, both of which we in Eastchester feel is appropriate because it helps our students become more competitive. But nonetheless, if that is a requirement, that is going to also need space in which to occur. Our goal at the high school is to make sure we have the most competitive program possible. And in order to achieve that, we need the space in order to allow our students the opportunity to compete at the highest level at the best universities in our country.
I think that comparison between then and now is really valuable for our listeners. And I know that since I was in high school, we have added services such as special education, academic intervention services, speech therapy, counseling, psychology, and valuable services to our English language learners. Dr. Moran, can you elaborate a bit more about how sharing space has an impact on our program? Because I know that many of your teachers are sharing classroom space now when they didn't a few years ago.
That's very true. We currently have 30 academic sections at the middle school, and they are taught in 25 classrooms. That means that teachers of English, math, social studies, and foreign language are traveling to different rooms throughout the day. Now that requires time to prepare and to set up the new classrooms, and that reduces the instructional time of each period conservatively by 4 to 5 minutes in a 40-minute period. It also means that teachers are less able to use instructional materials such as books, charts, and maps that can enhance learning when they're going back and forth between different classrooms. We know that our art room cannot accommodate all of our students, and consequently some of our youngsters travel to the high school for art. The high school art room is 2 wings removed from the middle school and in the basement of the high school. And we would love to be able to offer an exciting cutting-edge technology education program for students in grade 6, but at this time cannot do so, and those students are receiving study halls.
You know, that's very interesting when you talk about the fact that students are being challenged in terms of finding spaces to get extra help and so forth, and how teachers are unable to provide materials and resources to children. And we know that we want a rigorous middle school education for our children, as well as certainly a rigorous education for our high school students. Dr. Capuano, you always talk about the rigor of a high school academic program that's required in order for our students to effectively compete with students in other school districts once they reach college, as well as to be very competitive in the 21st century and being more global. Can you elaborate on this in terms of our space needs and what we are able to offer our kids versus what we can't?
Absolutely. The fact is that right now, every year in the United States, over 3 million seniors graduate. Those 3 million seniors are competing for the same seats at universities that our students are trying to get into. In order for us to allow our students to have the most competitive transcript possible, we have to offer a significant number of academic electives. We have to offer courses in both the performing and visual arts. We have to offer high-level AP classes and college-level classes. All of these classes are not particularly required by New York State to graduate, but all of them are necessary in an Eastchester to help our students prepare for their futures. In order for those classes to be able to take place, the bottom line is we need 4 walls and a roof. We're in a spot right now where we are not going to have the space to continue to provide a program like that. Just last year, our students got into such schools as Boston College, Boston University, Brown, Bucknell, Carnegie Mellon, the University of Chicago, Cornell, Dartmouth, Columbia, Georgetown, Harvard, New York University, Princeton, University of Pennsylvania. These are places we want our students to get into. These are places we want our future students to have access to. And in order to do that, we have to maintain the program that we have.
And you know, I have to just say that so many of our students come back and live their lives in Eastchester. They get married, they have children. I just think about how productive they would be after such a great high school and university college career, coming back to Eastchester and giving back to this community. It would really be wonderful, and we already see that happening here. Dr. Moran, do you have any closing thoughts for us?
The middle school has really been over its building capacity now for 11 years, since September of 2000. The space needs to provide a high-quality educational program for students who are already in our school can be met by this bond. And I believe very strongly that our students in Eastchester deserve such a facility.
Well, I certainly agree with you on that as a school superintendent. And Dr. Capuano, you are a district administrator, and you are a parent and a resident in the school district. Do you have some other thoughts that you would like to share with our audience?
Well, absolutely. As you know, I love our school. As you know, I love my children. And my concern is for a daughter who's in 4th grade and a daughter who's in 1st grade as well, recognizing that if we don't do this, the current 4th grade class is going to be here and very much impacted in a short period of time. As the high school principal, I hear from parents all the time saying, I can't believe how fast my child went through the school system. As a parent, I'm trying to keep that in my mind and recognize how brief our children are actually in the schools, and that this issue is very important for the Waverly parents, for our elementary school parents, and for our middle and high school parents as we move through this process, because it will impact the high school as well.
Well, I would like to thank Dr. Moran and Dr. Capuano for joining us today. I know that you and your staff are doing a great job providing an excellent education for our students, even under these adverse conditions. and my congratulations go out to both of you. I hope that the community will understand and accept the limitations of your buildings and will agree that this bond, a straightforward plan that adds classrooms and seats for students, should be passed. So thank you both again. We are in the process of getting information out to our school community on the bond. It's an expansion project as well as a renovation project, what it will provide for students, and the cost to our taxpayers. Please check out our website regularly for information, and please remember to cast your vote on October 12th of this school year. The polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Thank you to our audience for watching. Once again, Upfront with Dr. Terranova, and we'll see you again soon.